what up? This is Lee Smith. We're back in Brooklyn, Mona Lisa Studios, and this is the Mission Statement, Episode 5. Before we get into it, we have a very special guest tonight, but before we get into it, I really just want to say thank you to everybody that's been watching the podcast, listening, and just been liking the photos, sharing, even all the comments, the love that we've been getting. We really just appreciate all the support, and I just want to say thank you to everybody that's been tuning in, so I appreciate that. And while we're here, we have the very special Sam Smyth, all the way from the West Coast. He came out specifically just to hang out with us. What a great guy.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for flying out, dude.
Yeah,
private jet.
Of course, the only way to fly.
All right. This isn't your first time in New York on like a non-skate trip, right?
No. I've kind of like barely been here for skate trips, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I've come here probably on my own dime and like, just to kind of see the people that I've met. All through skateboarding, everything goes back to it, right?
Yeah.
But like, yeah, first time I came here was to visit Jeff Pang, because he had lived in SF, and we had like gotten tied out there, and when he went home to move back home, he was like, come visit me, and I was like, yeah, I'm down. And
and you're like, fuck it.
yeah, it was dope. It was summertime. I was like 18, and
how long were you out here for?
felt like I was chilling, but you know, maybe it was 2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
You know.
Was Rick Iverset out here at that time with you?
He might have been. There was like a lot of people that were like here on different trips. Like I came out by myself just to kick it with Jeff, but like I definitely, yeah, like Rick was here. I hung out with Rick and Peter Hun, and it was actually like just like post kids, and Geese was here.
Oh shit.
Geese was just out here chilling.
Yeah.
So like I would link up with Geese at Astor Place and kick it.
It was like same shit, different city.
Totally. It was super sick. It was like, yeah. I rode a cab with Geese across Central Park, and we had no money, and we had to like bail on the cab. So he like sat up front. He told the cabbie like, I'm gonna sit up front. He's like, why? There's plenty of seats like back there. He's like, I just wanna sit up front. Why you gotta make me ride in the back?
So he was in the front and you were in the back by yourself?
Yeah.
If I was a cab, damn, I wouldn't have gone for
He was like, what? Why you gotta make me ride in the back? Like I can't ride in the front with you? And so he like convinced him to like ride in the front with him. And then we're like going by Central Park, and he's like, what's that, a horse? And like the cabbie looked, and he like whacked the meter. He whacked the meter, and the guy was like, what is this bullshit? What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, stop this. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, my bad. My hand hit it on the way back or whatever. He was trying to like turn the meter off. And then we like, and then I think we like went a little bit further, and we got to like where we wanted to go, and he just did it again. He just whacked it right in front of his face, and he was like, okay, out of the cab. And we were like, perfect. Exactly.
Like, thanks, buddy.
Exactly what we were shooting for. But yeah, that was like my first trip to New York, and it was exactly like, it was cool because, you know, lots of people that I met through Embarcadero I saw out here, and it was just, it was like same shit, different place, and like I kind of like loved it ever since then, and probably didn't get back here enough that as much as I wanted to, but.
Growing up at Embarcadero, one of the things that people always ask me like how it was to like grow up there, and like, you know, all of us kind of becoming professional skateboarders and like kind of getting into the world of skateboarding. I always say that the easiest way to think about it is like, imagine if you were a little kid and you grew up at the North Shore. Like, you kind of, like, you're naturally flowing into that life. Like, you know, that's what I don't know how it is to grow up at the North Shore at all, but like, that's kind of like my, like, you know, my comparison. It was just we were just naturally got into the world of skateboarding without even, you know, we got geographically
We could have done something
blessed.
Differently in the city, but no, we were skaters. So if you were skaters, you're in that mix. You had no other real route.
Yeah.
Had to be there.
I mean, I know you like, I was sponsored when I was like, I don't know, 15 maybe. You were sponsored when you were like, what, 12?
Like 13, yeah, maybe 12.
I
Yeah.
mean, like it's crazy because you already were sponsored and over it by the time.
Over it by the time you were doing it. Yeah.
By the time you were like 16, you're like, I know I don't want to do this.
I just knew I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I was just like, it was like already like too competitive, and I just like knew I wasn't like up to snuff, or I just like, I wasn't, I either just thought that like, I don't know, there's probably a lot of emotions going on, and I don't want to say that I was like, you know, doubting myself so much, but it was just, tricks were becoming more technical. Dudes are skating handrails, dudes are skating switch, and I was just like, dude, I'm not into that. You know, I'm just not gonna do that. And everyone was progressing so quickly. You know, Mike is pro already, and I was just like, fuck, I just don't see that in my cards, you know?
Did that bother you at all? Is that something that you know?
I mean, when I think about that time, like, there's like a lot going on in my life that like, it was like a sort of a dark, depressive time for me. While it was also the most wonderful time of my life, I was like outwardly living like my salad days, but inside I was a little off. And, you know, not skating is part of it, you know? That was like something that I had loved for so many years, and then kind of falling off was sad. But like, at the same time, I had a lot of other sad shit going on, and then a lot of positive shit going on. So I think that as a whole, falling off of skateboarding wasn't the worst thing in my life.
Yeah.
And in the long run, I'm way happier.
Of course.
You know, I'm so glad that I'm not like out there trying to like fudge a little like internet clip together right now. Like, that's probably the worst possible outcome I could imagine for myself right now.
For sure.
Yeah.
I know, it just, back in those days, it was like all our heroes. And I always tell like my homies and everything, it's like the only people that we had to look up to that I felt were the people that were like landing tricks.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of one person that I know that wasn't a skater that was somebody that I looked up to.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know.
Well, we were around the best of the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was crazy to think that like people were in other cities and other states and countries idolizing our friends. You know? So it's like we were always around just the best of the best.
Yeah.
While people are looking at videos, I'm looking right next to me, you know, at like the best skaters doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And like even growing up, like while the mags were like all vert in the 80s, and I go to Concrete Jungle and I have Tommy Guerrero, Mickey Reyes, Mike Archimedes right there.
Yeah.
You know, and Julian Stranger, I'm like, this is the sickest stuff going on. I can't even relate to what's going on in these magazines.
Yeah.
You'd devour them and you'd watch the videos and stuff, but like when Sick Boys came out, I was like, finally, my hood, my fucking people are like finally fucking represented on tape.
The shit that I see every day.
Yeah.
Now the rest of the
now
world
the rest
can
of the
see
world's
it.
gonna see
Yeah.
fucking street skating's where it's at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
I remember like we used to, how religiously did we watch, and I'm sure everybody at our age watch blind video days.
Like,
and like fucking
endlessly.
every day.
Endlessly. And it's like, fuck, man, I'm so grateful that I grew up in a time where that was something to do, you know? Scares me the way the kids just devour the skate content and don't spend the time to like absorb it. I mean, whatever, I can't speak for the fucking kids. They're probably doing it way better than we did, but I just think the way that we listen to music, the way we watch skateboarding is like a lost art. People don't listen to songs over and over again.
They don't.
They listen to like whatever's hot at the moment. It's like, man, you don't know about playing a tape out till the tape wears out, you know? And that goes for fucking blind VHS. Like you just played it till it fucking fell apart.
Yeah.
Because it was like, you knew it was the best shit going.
Yeah.
And you just wanted to know every, you know, nuance, you know, every like Public Enemy fucking Nation of Millions. You knew every fucking beat, every fucking interlude, and you know, and Blind Video Days was like you knew every little Gaunt's thing, you know what I mean? It's like that type of shit. Like that stuff's got to be lost on a kid because you don't see that until you've watched it 10 times.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
That's true.
Yeah.
Remember how crazy it was, like when I somehow got on ATM Click and I got on the team, and that summer we went down, and after religiously watching Blind Video Days every day of our lives, somehow I got on the team, ATM Click. Then you came, we went down to Huntington Beach and we both stayed at Gonz's house.
You were there and we were talking on the phone.
Yeah, I would call you like every day.
Yeah, we would talk on the phone because we were already best buds before you went down there. And you'd just call me and you're like, yeah, I'm staying at Ron Chapman's house, like on his like pull out couch. And you know, Ron Chapman from Rubbish Heap. You know what I mean? And I'm like, this is fucking insane. Like you're living this lifestyle, you know? And I was like, dude, I want to come down. Yeah. And you're like, hold on, let me ask Ron. And he's like, well, can my friend Sam like come stay? And he's like, yeah, whatever, like that's fine. And I fucking, actually, I think it might have been like the first time I got on a plane. I think I like convinced my mom to get me a ticket, and I like flew down there by myself. You and Ron picked me up.
We picked you up at Long Beach Airport.
Yeah, I can't believe I did that.
And we skated with Mark, and we skated with Ron.
Mark, and dude, that was so amazing. I think about that all the time.
Because then years later, Mark skated. Obviously you move on to become, you know, TM at Crail.
Yeah.
And then Mark rides for 4-Star. Did you guys ever talk about that, like years later?
Dude, I don't know. I probably would have mentioned it.
Does he know that you're the same kid?
I mean, probably, not that he would remember that day, but to me, I'm like, we were at this fucking parking lot, and there was a little manual pad that we were skating, but like off to the side of the manual pad, there was like a curb that went out like this, and I just manualed it, and then I grinded the curb, and Mark was like, yeah! And I was like, oh my God, like Mark like cheered for me. That was insane.
Yeah, 1 minute we're watching him on video, and the next thing he's...
So like I never forgot that day, but I probably didn't bring it up to Mark, because why would he remember that?
That's funny, man.
Yeah, and then, we went to that rail that he had the, remember this? The rail that he set up the white bench, they ollied to the white bench, and then he went from the white bench.
Yeah. It was at like a shopping mall or something.
We went there, and the security guard kicked us out, and he like flexed on the security guard super crazy. And he was like, dude, I hope I can go to war to defend you. Like Mark said that to the guy. They had gotten a crazy beef, and I just remember that comment was like, I hope I go to war. I hope I can go to war to defend people like you.
Dude, I can't believe I don't remember that.
Just some insane Mark shit, yeah.
It's weird the little shit that sticks in your mind and the
things
that you like kind of forget about.
Yeah, so much shit slips, but then the stuff that sticks, you're like, why that?
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, for me, I know that you were skating at Embarcadero around since 86, right?
Yep, that was probably because I know I was 10, so that was 86. I went down there first.
Yeah. Because I came later. I was there around 90.
Right.
For me, that seemed like an eternity because Embarcadero ended, our time ended around 93.
I always say 94, but I'm so bad with actual dates. But
I mean, back then it felt like an eternity, but it was like a 3-year run.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, it was
now 3 years goes like this, and you're like, where did it go?
That was my whole life.
Every day.
Every day.
It was, yeah.
The thing was, it's you always wanted to be there because you never wanted to be the guy that's you didn't want to be the guy that comes the next day and then everybody goes, dude,
yesterday.
Bro, you missed it.
For sure.
Carol did this trick, and then these girls came through, and then we went to this rave. And
dude, that happened just a couple times. Just a couple times. I tried to really not miss anything. I did my best to not miss.
I have a really random memory at Embarcadero. Do you remember one night we were skating there, and then there was a drunk couple that came out of a gala, and the woman had on a gown, and the dude had on a tuxedo, and she's like, They were drunk, and
Yep.
then she's like, she wanted to get on Carl's shoulders while he skated on the bricks with her.
Right.
You were there for that?
I was.
I don't know why, but this memory always sticks out in my mind.
Oh my, because it was so brutal.
It was crazy.
it was so brutal that's why it sticks.
Yeah. So she got on his shoulders.
Uh-huh.
Bam!
Slams.
Teeth gone.
Pieced her whole front grill out. Dude, it was so gnarly. And we were just like...
And she was like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I forgot that we
Yeah.
imitated
She was
her
so
like that
drunk.
for years.
She was, I mean, her and her husband must have woke up the next morning and been like, what the fuck? It's okay. It's okay.
That's exactly what we did.
Dude, it was so gnarly. You remember the phone number down there?
By heart, no.
Dude, I don't know.
I did know it by heart for many, many years. But that was amazing that we had the number to the payphone and we would just call that from home and somebody would pick it up. Mostly a skater would be watching the phone.
Yeah.
But then sometimes a fucking random passerby would pick it up and you'd be like, can you grab a skateboarder?
And they'd be like,
Okay. I swear so many times and then it's just like, it would just be hanging for a second and then like Kelch would pick up, what up? What up, Kelch? What's going on down there?
who's there?
People are skating. Oh, really? All right, I'm coming down.
Dude.
All right, bye.
Or you had to like talk to Jake to
Yeah.
like know if he brought those wheels
Yeah,
for you or
yeah,
like
yeah.
some shit
Or
like
just
that.
what was going on that night.
Yeah.
A lot was a big concern always, you know, because you wanted to be prepared for wherever we were going to go after Embarcadero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's sick. What was that? I remember you went on a skate trip fairly young. I mean, it was after you kind of weren't sponsored anymore, but you kind of like just went on your own. You were with a sick crew. You were with like...
Yeah. That was South America.
Yeah.
It was 1998. No, I'm tripping. Wait, when was that? 97. December of 1997. And it was South America. And I just heard about it through Mike. Like Mike was going and I was just like, wow, that sounds so cool. And not like it's the first trip he's ever went on. He was always traveling, but for some reason, he was just like, why don't you go? And I was like, what? Like, how would I go? He's like, I bought my own ticket. Like, it's just a Thrasher trip. Like, anybody can go. And I was like, really? Like, what? I don't know. Like, how does this work? And he's like, call Lance Dawes. He'll get you, like, the info. And Lance Dawes was like, yeah, sure. Like, book it. We're doing 5 days in Peru, 5 days in Ecuador, 5 days in Venezuela. And just, we're going to stay in hostels. So just buy your ticket and like bring cash.
So who was all on the trip?
Dude, it was like me. So I feel like Mike got this little crew together. That was like him and his brother, Mike and Greg. And then like Rick Abaceta and me. And then there was like Dan Hobel, Lance Dawes, Luke Ogden, Mickey Reyes, John Cardiel, Julian Stranger, Mike Archimedes, Choppy Omega, Jesse Paez, Richard Kirby, Karma Toshaff.
Did that lineup? That's a heavy.
Solomon Aga, Joey Trichet.
All on one trip.
All on one trip. There's a photo of us at the bottom of the bowl that was just like unreal. And we get to Peru, and for some reason, like,
How old are you?
so
You're
we're
like
young,
17
young.
or something?
I mean, no, I think I was like 20 or something, right? And like, but we're still young. We're still kind of the youngest of the whole crew. So like we get to Peru and we went to like one skate park and some dudes were like, this is whack. I'm gonna like just go maybe early to Ecuador or something. And then some people were like, let's go to Machu Picchu. And
Did you even know what that was?
No, hell no. I didn't know what that was, but they just told me, they were like, it's these fucking ruins, blah, 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 blah. Like, you have to see it. And I was like, cool, I just wanted more adventure. So like, I was with that crew, we went to Machu Picchu. And
So you guys broke out from the rest of
we
them?
separated 2 little packs. Like, some dudes just like partied in Peru. And then, because I think we like kind of quickly found like nothing to skate or something. And so some dudes just partied and we went to Machu Picchu and saw the ruins, and I got like deathly sick, but came back to Peru, and then went on to Ecuador. And Ecuador was the shit. That was the skate park. I think that was like the centerpiece of the trip. It's like we had to get to this big full pipe skate park in Ecuador, but that was the shit, dude. It was so fucking sick.
Did the article ever?
There's a sick article.
Right?
That was the cover. Peter Hewitt, front side invert. Right here's the big full pipe, and he's upside down. And they went like 2 years ago, and he like did it again.
Oh, he did?
And yeah, they went with like Raven, and he fucking killed it. Like that was the sickest shit, dude.
Yeah.
We were like, I was kicking it with Arco, who was like childhood like hero. I always thought he was the braddest.
Yeah.
And we were kicking it, and we would go into a liquor store, and it said big sign that said imported, and it was Old English and Thunderbird, like stacked in a pyramid.
In Ecuador.
And Arco's like, it's imported, like we gotta get it, like, you know. So we both got like 40s and like shared a Thunderbird, and I was like in heaven.
I feel like I remember a story of like Joey Trichet eating a guinea pig.
He ate a guinea pig at the Machu Picchu, at Cusco. Cusco is a little city at the foot of like Machu Picchu, and he like ate a guinea pig, and he's like mashing it, and he's just like, dude, I don't think this is like what I ordered. And he like gets out the menu, and he's like, is this like this? And the waitress like grabs his finger and like moves it down. So he had like pointed to like, he thought he had pointed to the chicken, but it was like, nah, and it was like fried guinea. It was like fried guinea pig. So right then he was like, whatever, I don't care. It was like, it was good, it was fine. And then we start walking out of the restaurant. He's like, oh my God. He like shit his pants, like instantly leaving the restaurant. But he didn't get as sick as I did. I don't know I ate a fucking fish, like a whole fish, and I was just like blowing out of both ends for like 2 days, dying.
Come to find out years later, like guinea pig is like an Ecuadorian delicacy.
For sure. We didn't know that when we were there. Yeah, I did hear that later. At first we were just like, what is this restaurant? Why did they serve him this? Like, but turns out it was like completely normal.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but then like Venezuela was crazy because so many people had dropped off. It was just like such a wild trip. Like it was just, dude, free for all. You know, back in that day, and nobody was like, we got to get clips for the video, or we got to like. There was an amazing article came out of it, but I don't think anybody was trying. We were just like out there raging, like having a fucking amazing time. Jake Phelps was there. I didn't say Jake Phelps.
Who was, like, by the end, there was probably, like, just a couple of you guys, huh?
By the time we got to Venezuela, like, so many people, like, faded out. It was crazy. So, like, when we got to Venezuela, we were like, what? There's only, like, 6 or 7 of us. Like, let's just get a hotel, because we had been staying in the craziest hostels and shit. So we got one hotel room on the beach, like a fancy, like, high-rise on the beach, and just all stayed in one hotel room, on the floor, everywhere. Two people on the beds, and then on the floor all around, and just like stayed at the beach. I don't even think we really skated in Venezuela.
Oh my God, I'm crying. Something that also was really cool, I remember, was that I think your mom gave you like $100 to like give out to people.
That's funny that you remembered that, dude.
Yeah.
That was like, my mom worked forever as a nurse at a clinic in the Tenderloin, and very good friends with the soup kitchen, the St. Martin de Porres soup kitchen next to her. When she told her friend that I was going, she was like, oh my God, like, I gotta send something. And like, she's like, St. Martin de Porres was from Ecuador. And here's $100 cash, give it out as you see fit. And she gave me the little saint card of Martin de Porres. And she gave me 5 20s, and I gave a few out to like just people on the street, you know.
Somebody that you felt caught your eye, or
caught my eye. There was like
a woman.
There was a woman in Cusco that was like making us bracelets, and a couple of people bought them, and like I was just like, oh, here. They're like, what? $20? Like was so huge to them, and I had the card. I was like, oh, it's from St. Martin de Porres, and they cried.
Really?
Her and her daughter just cried ride and like tried to give me all their stuff, and I was like, no, like I'm good. No, you must take it. I think I took a little bracelet or something.
Yeah, you're
and
like, I'll just take one.
Yeah, and then like one was like out drunk, and this guy's like, bruh, bruh, bruh. I'm like, dude, $20 from St. Martin de Porres, you know? And he's like, what? But most of them were heartfelt. And that was like super sweet. And I obviously came back to her with like a wonderful report. She was like so happy.
That's sick. You and Henry used to be pretty tight.
Super tight. That's my dog.
Like nowadays.
Before you came around, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that was like, Henry lived in South City.
But that's what I want to ask, because that's like another world, especially when you're like 15. Living in South City might as well be living in fucking, I don't know, another country. How did you guys become like super close?
Just from coming to Embarcadero, I guess. But it's funny, like we met at Embarcadero, but almost at a time where we were young. I mean, I was like 12 or something. I wasn't even like on Think yet. Like I was like 12 or 11 or something like that. And like we had probably met at Embarcadero, but we weren't yet going to Embarcadero every single day. We were like still like Golden Gate Park and Fort Miley and stuff, like just skate nerds, skate rats, like skating out in front of my house until midnight or something, you know, jump ramps and my little ledge, and I had everything in front of my house, a nice curb, and he was already beyond. Like he was already just ripping.
Didn't you have a bunch of like home videos that you made back in the days?
Not really. We had photos.
Oh, okay.
Tons of like little like snapshot photos. I have like I have a photo album that's full of us like jump ramp tricks and stuff. Photos of us skating in our underwear, like tidy whitey underwear. That's an exclusive.
You gotta drop that. You gotta drop a Throwback Thursday on Instagram with that one.
But back then it was like, dude, I'm like just ollie 1 foots off the jump ramp, off the bump or whatever, and he's like finger flips, air walks, like crail snatch wall rides. Like he had all that stuff already popping. And we're talking like, he had like Steve Douglas Schmidt stick board, just to like tell you how long ago that was. Like I've mentioned this a few times because there's that ledge that people have been skating. It's a yellow ledge on my mom's hill, which is super fucking steep.
It's all like they're skating it in GX 1000.
Yeah, De La did the switch front nose, and then bombed the hill, which is beyond psycho.
I mean, we walked down that hill every day.
We walked down that hill for whatever, 20 years, and like, but Henry stuck a switch front nose on a Schmidt stick Steve Douglas.
What do you mean, like 25 years ago?
Yes.
The same trick that...
Yes. but in a way where you're just like, wouldn't that be insane to do something on that? And he would just go, you know, and kick it away. I mean, bombing the hill is the big part that, you know, De La fucking handled like a boss.
Yeah.
But that's just how fucking far beyond he was.
Dude.
Yeah, he was incredible.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Fucking, when's the last time you spoke with Henry?
Dude, well, thanks to social media, we chat here and there. I'll comment on some shit, and he'll comment on some shit. And he did his little thing where he was like filming himself at the skate park, and I sent him some boards and shoes when he was doing that. And yeah, we kind of like reconnected after not talking for probably a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
One of the things, like, it seemed, you know, Kelch was like always at Embarcadero, he was like the enforcer, right?
Yeah.
I know everybody knows that. Fucking everybody knows that Kelch was the man. But like, I was thinking about it, and it seemed like who else could really like throw down at Embarcadero?
Thorne. Thorne was the other guy that was like, I was like, when you think about the big fights that happened, when you think about those big brawls where people really got fucked up, like, Thorne is doing jujitsu now. Like he cut his teeth like on the streets.
But none of the pro skaters could really throw down. Like, we would like sneak our little punches in there.
For
but,
sure.
like,
Well, no, it was a Rat Pack every fucking time. For sure. It wasn't. Yeah.
I mean, the Thorn and like the THK crew, those dudes were gnarly.
Those dudes were real brawlers.
But you got to talk.
actually.
Who were the THK crew?
That
Like,
was Thorin, Byron, Ryan, Michael Kelly, Josh. Yeah.
what were the like? They were like the older.
They were the
generation.
predecessor to the EMB crew. They're probably just a couple years older or something, but that like because they went to Galileo with Kelch and Scotty Potty, so like that's where it's kind of like those dudes hung out in Embarcadero, and then Kelch and Scotty were the young guys, and then like Jake was like the young guy to them, and then we came in and we were the young guys to them, and then that's how like the lineage went, you know.
Those
Fat
dudes
Matt.
Fat Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The THK was gnarly.
Yeah.
Those dudes used to fuck people up.
They did. They did. And I was
Shout out to THK.
I was glad to be on their side.
Oh, for sure. I was like this tall. I was like
Jer.
drinking.
Yeah.
Jer was those
Jer,
dudes.
Fat
Yeah.
Matt, can't forget about those dudes, man. Like, I was like, that was dope to have those dudes.
I'm a little out of the loop. Like, do pro skaters still fight each other nowadays?
I really don't. I feel like you would hear about it more.
But maybe
right?
it's on the low or something. Like maybe they have too much to lose.
You're right. Right.
Well, I mean, you're in the mix. When's the last time? Who's the last pro skater fight you've heard about?
Like a Gershon Andrew Reynolds or something like that one. Or,
That was seriously like 15 years ago.
Is it?
Dude, I
Oh,
feel like that happened at the City Stars premiere.
really?
I swear to God.
Yeah.
Maybe not. It happened
Yeah.
at some kind of premiere.
Yeah. Now they just like talk shit on Instagram or something.
I don't even know if they do that.
Everyone's PC.
They started to talk shit on
Everyone's
Instagram?
PC
Maybe,
now.
yeah. They've got too much to lose now, I guess. What were like some of the more memorable EMB brawls that stuck out in your mind?
Yeah, there was like, you kind of just get like little flashes of all of them, you know? There was the one that like, when Kelch was like jabbing the dude in the head with the wrench, and that was like...
I always heard about that one. I wasn't there
You
for that.
weren't there for that one?
No,
That one just like...
It sounded kind
It
of...
was the brutality of it was insane. And then there was this like, fuck, I remember Thorn just banking on this dude, punk rock dude, and that dude got served up.
Didn't some guys throw like firecrackers over the wall or something?
What was
We
that?
chased them down the street.
Yeah, I don't think I was around for that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one was pretty savage. There was like,
Or what about pro skaters getting punched in the face?
Alfonso Rawls. He got punched by Ryan of THK.
Of THK crew.
That's like one everybody knows about, I guess, because his board shot out and hit his girlfriend in the ankle.
Yeah.
And Ryan was a tough guy, and he did bank on him. Alf didn't do anything though. That was kind of like the end of it.
Yeah.
Which one I think of a lot is Ben Sanchez banking on Fat Cap.
Yes.
Dude, that was like so
brutal.
crazy because Fat Cap was this dude. His name was Fat Cap because he had a beanie that said Fat Cap on it. And that was like graffiti brand, like Third Rail. Like when those graffiti brands were like hot in the late 90s. And so we called him Fat Cap. And
Is he like a big white dude?
he was like, he wasn't white, dude.
No?
He was mixed, dude, or something. And Ben's girl was like, oh, he was messing with my purse or something.
I was
And
there,
Ben
man.
was like, fuck that dude. And I was like, dude, Ben, come on, dude. Like, nothing happened. Like, don't flex. And he jumped from, like, not just the block, but like one block up. So he's like 2 blocks up.
I remember that dude. He's like
He's really tall, and Ben was kind of small, and he came close to him, and Ben jumped, top rope, bam! Blew his nose up. The dude was on all fours, just like draining. Like it came out like a fountain.
I know, I remember that.
I can't forget
kinda
that.
You had one of my most favorite brawls.
Oh my God.
It wasn't at Embarcadero. I was the only witness to this fight.
Okay. I know where we're going.
You know where we're going with this?
Yeah.
You and Carl Watson in your driveway.
Yep.
We got to hear about that story. I remember it started on the bus.
On the bus.
The 24 Divisadero.
On the 24 Divisadero that went to my mom's house. We were all on there, or the three of us were on there. And he was talking shit. Like, Carl used to do this fucking thing. Everybody thinks he's the fucking nicest, sweetest guy in the world. He was such an annoying fucker. Like, he would torment you with fucking spitballs or fucking talking shit. And I fucking love him so much, but he would be so antagonizing on purpose. That was like his art. Like he thought it was his job to like antagonize people. And he was on the bus talking shit to me the whole way home. He's coming over to my house. Like you guys are coming over to my house to spend the night, and he's just like talking shit to me the whole way. And I was so pissed, I had no comebacks. And I just
He was roasting you.
He was. I had no comebacks, and I was at the window in the back, and I just we were a block away from my mom's house. We were a block away from the stop. And I fucking just grabbed his board and chucked it out the window of the bus. And so he's like, oh, you know? But we get off the bus, and I just start walking up the hill, and he starts walking with me. He's like, you better go get it. You better go get it. You better go get it. And I'm like, I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. Like, I'm going home. You better go get it. And fucking we're walking up the hill, and we get all the way to the house. And what does he say?
He was like, you know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. You better go get it.
You know what it's going to result to.
Oh, you know what it's going to result to. What an intimidating.
You know what it's going to result to. I love it that you did this. You do this because I was thinking about his little skinny ass wrist.
His little fucking wrist, Ethiopian wrist. You know what it's going to result to.
And it was like, all right, come on, let's go.
And you guys started throwing them.
Yeah.
In your fucking garage, and Carl slipped on a grease spot. So Carl fell on a grease spot.
Yeah.
That was a funny part. And I don't know, did you guys even get any like licks in?
I don't know.
Who knows, right?
I know. It was just like one of those fucking sloppy, just little kid like scraps.
But do you remember what happened after that though?
Bob, my mom's roommate, came downstairs and like pulled us apart.
But you remember how he came down.
I didn't see it because I'm like blinders in this fucking fight. But you told me later.
So this guy, he comes down. He must have looked out the window, saw you guys fighting in the driveway. Either he sleeps naked or he ripped his underwear trying to put him on hella fast. The dude comes out of the house butt-ass naked. He's like 60 years old or however old he is. Fucking everybody, I don't know. He's breaking up the fight of you and Carl in the driveway, butt naked. A grown-ass man.
I feel like you told me he had ripped underwear on.
Yeah, right? Maybe he had like,
he ripped his underwear.
He tried to throw his underwear on and it ripped and he just had the fucking little like thing around his waist.
Insane.
Cock hanging, fucking foggy ass SF night. Breaking you guys up.
Insane, dude.
That was classic. Did you go get the board after? I think you went.
No, he did. No, I told him to go home. He didn't come back. He was yelling at us from the bottom of the hill. He went to the bottom of the hill, grabbed his board, and he was like, fuck you, like fucking screaming at us from the bottom of the hill. I don't think he came over. I think he left.
I don't
Pretty
know.
sure.
Carl, we love you, man.
I do love Carl. He's so peaceful now, isn't he? God damn it.
Oh my God. What about like when we all started going to raves and shit?
Yeah.
Who was the first, who set that off? Was that Greg Carroll?
No, dude. It was funny. I thought about it when you mentioned like missing things. There was like one day I came down and everybody was just like super zorched from the night before. And I was like, whoa, like what happened? And they're like, dude, we like took this drug called ecstasy, and like it was super crazy. We had an amazing time. It was like so awesome and whatever. And I missed it. And the very next weekend was like, I came down and they were like, we're gonna go to a rave. And I was like, what's that? And they're like, it's a party, but it costs $20.
That was a lot
And
of
I
money,
was
man.
like, whoa, that sounds like a party I'm like not going to, you know? But they convinced me that it was gonna be a night to remember.
Yeah.
And I fucking made it happen.
Yeah.
And that was like the most.
What was that first rave? Which one was
It
that?
was that it was that Scandia, which is like, I don't know how many people will know what that is because there's a few of them, but it's like a go-kart, batting cages, arcade type spot, and it was like in the Bay Area somewhere. It was sick because it was like the EMB crew, and we were like so fucking tight. Everybody was like, you know, just bonding on a next level.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I don't remember which one was the first one I went to.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but I know that the thing about me is I was always one of the younger guys, but I would always jump in with the older guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, I have a single mom. She's watching my little brother. What's she gonna do to me?
Yeah.
She can't take anything away from me. I don't have shit.
Right.
So I would always go with you guys to the raves, and fucking, it was so much fun, man.
It was
I don't know
insane.
how we would even get. I mean, most of them we would sneak in.
Right.
We would scale walls.
We became sneak in, scandal, ticket artists. Like, we made fake tickets. We scaled walls.
I'm pretty sure there was a rave that we climbed up between two buildings like this.
This is my
Hands and feet.
This is my illest like
Climbing
sneak-in
up-
story of my whole life.
Climbing up probably like a 2-story, 2 or 3-story rave. Getting up, going in through the roof.
So it was the Hayes Theater in SF. The alleyway, or it's not even an alleyway, it's basically the space between the Hayes Theater and the next door place was maybe like that wide. Mm-hmm. And we go in there and there was stacks of pallets, wood pallets. And we were just like, oh, look at this. Boom, like laid one wood pallet this way, lifted the other one, put it up, boom, it went like that. And then another one went boom, like that. And we like made this little ladder in this space.
Is that what happened?
And we fucking got up there and there was still another like 8 to 10 feet to go.
Yeah.
So what did we do? We got up there and we put backs on this side, feet on this side, and we went, and next thing you know, we're suspended like 2 stories above, just holding ourselves up like this, like back and feet, like holding, and we're shimmying up. And when I think about it, I'm like,
imagine your kid doing that.
fuck no. When I think about it, why did we think the roof was going to be like the solution? Like, did we know there was a way in on the roof? Like, not necessarily. But sure enough, when we got on the fucking roof, we're like looking around. We see a ladder. The ladder goes into a hole, and there's people dancing all around it. It's 2 stories down. 2 stories down, and there's people dancing all around it. And we're like looking at each other like, what the fuck? And we just get in and start coming down. As we come down, the crowd's like, yeah! And we're just like, into the crowd and then disperse. The illest sneaking story of my whole fucking life, for sure.
Oh my God. The rave. And then one of the more memorable ones was the Half Moon Bay rave on the beach.
Oh my God.
That one was amazing.
The full moon rave.
Full moon rave
In Half Moon Bay. Yeah. Yep. Pitch black.
How did 2 15-year-old kids get to Half Moon Bay? Like jump in a truck?
Back of somebody's pickup is what I remember.
Yeah,
Under
I remember
a camper
that.
shell.
In a pickup.
Yep.
Dude, that was classic.
Yeah.
And then like besides raving, what else we got into, like graffiti and shit?
Yeah.
That one was kind of weird.
What, being into graffiti?
No, not being into graffiti, but I think like it attracted a weird crowd.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Because then we got into like, it kind of like, back in the days, I don't know how graffiti is now, and I feel like graffiti now is kind of like art school nerdy.
It's got a little more of that.
It's more like, but back in the day, back in the days, graffiti was like dudes from the hood, right? Graffiti.
Yeah.
And so
In San Francisco, especially, it was gangsters that wrote graffiti.
Like you're from
and
the
we were
hood.
skaters.
Yeah.
And so that made us like intermingle with these crowds.
Mm-hmm.
And they would trip on us, and they'd be like, "What's up with you guys? Like, you don't look like graffiti writers. Like, where's your parko? Like, where's your runners? Like, we were just like out there with skateboards and markers. Like,
for the most part, it was cool, but then like it got kind of weird, and like, I mean, I know it's been talked about before, but that's kind of some of the energy that came down to Embarcadero was like when like graffiti writers and all these dudes started hanging out.
I definitely think that like added to the the demise of the spot.
For sure.
Kind of fucked up the spot.
Yeah, it did.
Not like by their fault, but more ours for like
bringing them in, right?
Bringing that energy down there.
Yeah.
And at the time, we fucking loved it. Like, I didn't give a shit. Kids were getting broke. Wasn't us.
Yeah.
It was like little kid shit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's crazy. Like with all that being said, like skating, going to raves, bombing at night, doing graffiti, like you're one of the dudes, like how did you manage to fucking graduate from high school?
Yeah. Just good fucking, yeah. Good. I don't know. In a way, I feel like that was more the destiny that like my parents instilled in me, and like, I always just, I was very, they gave me a pretty good upbringing that I think instilled this desire to, I don't know, be on the straight and narrow. And where I sort of like deviated was just me getting my like childhood angst out. And they were rebels too, My parents were hippies. My dad was like arrested at protests in the 60s. And so I have that in me too. But they also, raised me right, and just instilled a good value of responsibility,
In my mind, it felt like we did this every day of our lives at this point in time.
Yeah.
Or maybe I was doing it every day.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
No, for sure.
It didn't seem like I can't remember you being like, oh, I'm gonna go home and study.
No,
I
didn't.
Like we were drinking 40s on Lower Haight.
Yeah.
Until like what was pretty late, like 11:30, 10 o'clock at night.
For sure. And I did somehow pull it. I went to an interesting high school in San Francisco. It was a private high school, but it was a high school for kids that I always said that it was like sort of a last chance, like school for kids who had parents who cared enough to like try to salvage something. Because I was totally lost at middle school, going to like a super large public school where it was hard. It was hard to deal with. And then when I got to this place and got like really close attention is when I started to thrive at school. And everything else, I guess, was sort of like working against it in a way, that lifestyle that we led. And, but it was somehow I was just able to keep this like balance. And I think it was just for my parents,
Yeah.
I had to like keep it real for them.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think that you've always been good at, like seeing the bigger picture and being focused on where you want to go.
When I think back, man, when I think back to like some of those nights and stuff, I think like how close I could have been to like not pulling it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think about some of those nights, like, fuck, dude, what if I would have just went here or not came home or, I just feel like I was close to like the dark side. Fucking walked that edge. But I had just enough sense, I think. You know, I just had enough like common sense and wits about me to like make it home.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Always
deal with the
home.
next day. Well, it was comfort at home, dude. I'm not gonna front. I you know, grew up in a home that was stable. You know, even though my dad died when I was a young teenager, he instilled these things that, you know, carried me for the rest of my time.
So yeah, he lives on.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Then, like, I know after that, you work at Experience, you work at you work for all those brands. You've kind of told that story before.
Yeah, little small brands in San Francisco.
Then, like, fast forward a few years later, you're down in LA, you get the job with Girl. Like, how did you're 22 years old, huh? 23?
22 at that point, yeah.
You're still, in your own words, you said you were a little rough around the edges, no?
Sure.
How does a 22-year-old Frisco kid team manage the best pro skaters in the world?
Yeah, it was
And with having that, being a little rough around the edges, we didn't have a lot of patience.
Right.
Right, at Embarcadero or NSF. I mean, same for any kids that grow up in the city.
You grow up in a city
yeah.
where you're just like, you're surrounded by city life every day, and you have your wits about you, you know.
So you get this job though, and then how did you go from being the SF kid, rough around the edges, to being the TM 22-year-old? I gotta, you know, take care of these guys.
Yeah. So I mean,
was that a hard transition?
Well, I got some experience through those little companies in SF, you know. I was working in the skateboard industry. As like rinky-dink as those like brands were, it was a
good stepping stone.
It was essentially what I was like destined to do, but just on a much like smaller scale, you know. And then it's just, I mean, I really gotta like give it up to Rick and Megan for like taking their chance on Mike's boy. You know, that's all I really was. I think maybe they'd heard I'd had some experience, but they took a chance on me, and I learned as I went. You know, that's really the only way I was able to do it, is just learn as I went along. And it was.
How did your first tour as a team manager go? Like, where was your first tour?
So before me was Jason Calloway. He was the TM at Girl. And I think we did like a little trip to Arizona, and he came. But it was kind of like my first trip.
Okay.
Like I kind of like booked things, made sure like everything came together, but he was there. Sort of like I went kind of knowing I had somebody there to pick up the pieces if everything really fell apart. But after that, he was like, dude, you killed it. I like drove home and like drove the van with like everybody in it. And, dude, you killed it. And I was like, cool. Fuck, dude, you know? It was like everybody's much younger then too, you know? It was true. Like Rick and Mike were just kids,
it's not like they
kids
had
as
crazy
well.
high expectations for you.
No, it's just like make sure nobody gets arrested or make sure everybody like makes it to the van in the morning. And really that's all you gotta make sure happens.
I feel like I remember you crashed a van.
I did crash a van. I did crash a van. You're not supposed to do that.
But not on your first tour.
It wasn't my first tour. It was a couple years later. We were in Dallas, and it was like, it sucked because it was like, it was traffic. It was like midday traffic in like Dallas, Texas, and it was like, what is it? It was like this big flatbed truck was like merging into this lane over here. And you know, when you're kind of like going and you're banking on them, like continuing to merge, but he just stops and you're going at a speed where you can't stop. So you're like, fuck. And you try to go around it and the flatbed truck just went like down the whole fucking thing. Actually, sorry, it was the other direction because Brian will tell you he was in shotgun and it like went across it. He was like, whoa, like across his door.
I mean, it happens to the best.
It happens. People fucking crash cars all the time. I was the only one in like 20 years of doing this.
Only one time.
That's the only time I crashed.
How many tours do you think you went on?
Fuck, dude. 20 years? I did quite a few.
You think it's like 5,000? You think it's up there?
No. 20 years, fucking 10 a year? I don't know. 200 tours or something?
That's a lot of tours.
We used to tour a lot more than we do now, but it was like mandatory. It was like a Euro tour with like 3 or 4 countries, an Australia tour, a US tour, quick little up north and Arizona missions. Like we would do those every year, and I was like always at the helm.
I think one crash of all those tours is pretty
Not bad.
It's fucking impressive to me. I don't know. It's crazy. Shit. What was like, did you have any like tour disasters or any like crazy?
Tour disasters.
Or any like, what was a are there any trips that
There's things
stick out
where
in your
you're
mind?
like, I fucked up. You know what I mean? Like,
Or it doesn't even have to be on you. Just like any more of the memorable.
That's what like weighs so heavy is just like when you fuck up or whatever. And I don't know if there was like a lot of those, but really early on I like forgot the per diem. And I felt like shit because it was like we were going to fucking Tampa and like Sheffy's like, where's the per diem? I'm like, dude, I forgot it. Like I'll mail it to you. I was like, I'll mail it to you when I get home.
I can imagine Sheffy's face when you tell him you forgot the per diem.
We went to Tampa. That was a really early one, dude. I went to Tampa with like Sheffy and the whole team pretty much. And we like pulled into the like La Quinta and like and I was like looking in the lobby and I was like, oh, there's Bam in the lobby and he was like walking out
Bam
and Sheffy like got out the van and he was like turned his hat around and he was just like walking by Bam and Bam had on like a leather bracelet with these like big silver rings on it and he was like, don't let me see you on the course with that shit, I'll rip your fucking arm off. Dead serious. Like as he passed by him, like in the lobby of the hotel, I was like, "Holy shit!"
What did Bam do? That's hilarious. I remember from our tours, I always felt like before social media and before like traveling was like cool, skaters hated going on trips.
It was crazy, dude. Like
skaters hated going on tour. Like, I don't know if a lot of people know that.
To a degree, that's the crazy. That is, that's something that I've like shared a lot about recently. Just because I'm like, sort of feeling invigorated by the squad that we have right now. They're like young and they're excited to be doing things, whatever, you know. I rolled with the same guys for a long, long time, and for sure, dudes were like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, which is crazy when you think about it. If you told Manchild that, he'd be like, what? Like, you don't want to go to Europe. Yeah. You know, shit like that. But it was like that.
Dude, there was so many trips. I mean, I remember for our crew, you would be on tour, dudes would be complaining. All they wanted to do was go home and bang their little girlfriends and fucking skate their little spots. Yeah. They wouldn't know what country they were in. Right. They wouldn't even care. They'd just sit in the hotel smoking weed and they'd be like just trying to get through the demo, just waiting to get home. Yeah. You know? And I remember that. A perfect example was Javante putting sugar in the gas tank.
So he could go home.
He told that story so he could go home.
Right.
Kareem told me that story millions of times. And he was like, Javante put sugar in the gas tank so he could go home and bang his girlfriend. Yeah. And fucking blamed it on me. And Javante just finally said that on the 9 Club recently and fucking told that story. I knew that story from like so long. Yeah. But skaters were like, they would hate to go on trips.
Yeah, not all of them, but
the majority of the pros.
There was dudes that were like that. Because at that time, it was like the club was popping or like, LA was popping. And they didn't want to.
They didn't want to leave their home base. They had everything there.
Yeah. It's I feel like skateboarding's got some rad characters in it nowadays. Kids that like the road and.
Do you think social media has anything to do with it? Because it's like now you can show what you're doing.
Maybe, I don't know. It's just like, to me, it's kind of the way it should have been.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, somebody's offering you a trip to wherever, like Australia, US, doesn't fucking matter. You can't tell, like, Simon, Manchild, Griffin, like, whether it's fucking London or Phoenix. It's like, they just want to be on the road and skate and stuff. And that's like, yeah, that's as it should be, I think.
I mean, I used to think that was like normal. I wouldn't say I took it for granted, but that was kind of normal. And I mean, I didn't do it as much as a lot of people did, but I loved it, but I tried to make the most of it. Obviously, I fucking ran away to Spain forever and all that shit. But like now, as an adult who, you know, we work and we have our responsibilities and everything, it seems like a dream.
For sure. That's what I mean.
If you tell me like somebody's gonna pay for you to go on a trip, give you money, and all you have to do is ride a skateboard, and you have a hotel, it's like, it seems like,
if you love to ride a skateboard,
it seems like another fucking life.
Yeah.
Like
if you love to just skate, then yeah, that's how it should be.
It's insane. So you've been team manager for like what 20 years now?
It's like, yeah, like June will be like 20 years since I've been at Girl. So over the years, it's my job has, you know, sort of taken on more, and it's morphed over the years. But for the most part, I've always been like closely integrated with the team. Whereas now I'm more like the marketing director, but the team is our biggest marketing asset.
Yeah.
I'm still, you know, the title might have changed, but at heart, it's still the same shit.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which is, it seems there's probably like, in my eyes, there's like 3 generations of, like you got Mike, the originals.
Yeah.
Then you get like Trunk Boys.
Yeah. But
then
before them, you got like P-Rod and Jeremy. You know, there's like more generations. Yeah.
Not that I forget about them.
No, and like BA, you got, you know what I mean? You got. It's funny that you said the. I think Rudy said like the chapters. He's like, dude, like Girl's on his like 4th chapter, and like Chocolate's only on his 3rd chapter, and he like broke it down like that in the generations, and I was like, oh yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
What are all the Girl chapters like?
I don't, dude. It would be like way too hard to like actually verbatim do what Rudy did, but he had it down pat, and I was like, oh, dude, yeah, it's true.
People forget Colin McKay wrote for Girl.
Sure.
That's cool. Who do you think of all, like, I don't know, maybe this is a kind of random question, but who kind of goes the hardest, or who's been the easiest or hardest to kind of like manage, deal with? Like, who parties the hardest?
Parties the hardest now? Like on the team now?
Oh no, like from like which chapter?
Which chapter? Yeah. I mean, dude, when I was in my 20s and doing it, and the whole team is in their 20s and doing it, like those are some wild times, dude. Those trips were insane. You know, it took me 10 years before I like started to, you know, before there was another generation where it's like, oh, this is Sam, he's been here for this long, you know, like let's listen to like what he's gonna say. Whereas like I feel like with the first crew, it was more like I was learning with them. Yeah. You know.
And now you probably get to the hotel and like go to bed. Maybe have a couple beers.
I am starting to feel like slightly older in the van these days.
The younger I always trip on younger guys because they always think that they are showing us something that we didn't do. Yeah. Like, these guys are old. We'll show them how we party. And you're not, just because I'm going to bed at like 10:30 doesn't mean like I didn't do this shit for like 15 years. Like, you're not impressing me.
I know. I think our shit's legendary.
But I think everybody thinks that. What about like, was there any skaters that quit Girl and Chocolate and you were just like, fucking good riddance, dude?
Dude, honestly, like, yeah, like, not in like a bitter, not like a bitter ass way, but obviously they probably quit because the relationship was dysfunctional, you know, and it had probably been that way for a while. So, for sure, there were some that were out of left field and ones I wish didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then there was some where it's just like, oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
See you later.
Yeah, you're like, I get it. I saw
For
this
sure.
coming.
Yeah, it's dysfunctional relationships. And they get that way. They don't always start out that way, but they can turn that way.
For sure. That's actually a really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
How's did the Carol MJ beef settle down or what?
Dude, I don't know. No, I guess not. I don't think so. I think it's like still hot. Not in Carol's eyes. Carol doesn't care, but I think he's like, it's little messages or something.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird that if you spend so much time around, I mean, it's like you said, it's a relationship, right?
Sure.
So it's like you spend 10, 15 years with somebody.
Yeah.
It can end badly or it can end.
Sure.
Or you can be friends.
I'm learning.
We'll try to be
this.
friends.
I'm still learning this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were just all kids and would laugh together and play together forever and ever. I didn't think it would be different, but I'm learning as I get older that change is the only thing that's certain. Things will change. And so, like everything else in life, relationships change. So I just figured that out, dude.
Yeah. I guess it's when people start like it doesn't serve them anymore. Like things change once a relationship. I don't know. Maybe they have different expectations of what they want out of the situation, or
Yeah.
I don't know. Once it doesn't serve them anymore, that's when things start to go sour.
I mean,
maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people want to believe that it's just ride or die forever and ever, and that's all in the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are down for that. Some people aren't, you know?
Yeah.
And we're getting older, so.
I know you had like your frustrations with the big name shoe companies.
Yeah, right.
Is that something
That was something that like I inherited when Lakai came in-house. I think that like when Lakai was at Podium, at the different distributor, it felt like part of our brand because that's Mike and Rick's brand. And so like it felt like part of us, at least I thought it did. And then when we brought it in-house at Crail Tap is when I really took on, you know, the, I don't know how to say it, but like I got behind it in like a whole new way, you know, where I think maybe it was also probably just at that time, it was facing the adversity of having the big shoe brands, you know, starting to take over and you know really put the pressure on the small shoe brands. So when it came in house and I started to work a lot closer with that team, with the Lakai team, it did feel a little bit more of like it's us against them or whatever. And I've eased up on that, as I feel like probably like a lot of people involved have, because it doesn't suit our other brands. Doesn't suit Girl and Chocolate to be like that. And at the same time, Lakai is now at another out of the building, so maybe that has something to do with it. But it's like that's still Rick and Mike's brand, so
Yeah.
I fucking ride or die for Lakai. But at the same time, I think that I've tried to mend whatever rift that I had a hand in.
That's
during-
good.
Yeah.
I mean, without Lakai's still going hard.
For sure. Lakai's doing awesome.
And a lot of the independent shoe brands are not. There's not a lot out there.
No, for sure. Like Lakai's like doing extremely well in that space. But I got, you know, Girl and Chocolate is my like focus.
Yeah.
And I have riders that ride for all shoe brands.
Yeah.
So I try to work closely with all those guys in order to properly take care of my team.
For sure. Wasn't PJ Ladd going to get on the team at one point?
He was, dude. Well, it's one of those things where it's like, was he going to get on? I don't know. We wanted him on for sure. Like, me and Mike rode him we skated. Me and Mike were skating with him at LA High, and he was ripping, and there was like talk of like who he was gonna go ride for somebody, and we wanted it to be us, and we had like given him boards, but he was maybe gonna ride for Flip or whatever, we didn't know, and then like I think maybe it was kind of already like he's gonna do Flip or something, you know, but me and Mike like wrote him a little contract on a piece of paper, like, I do hereby promise to like skate
At LA High?
with the girls skateboard team and travel the world, have fun with these awesome guys, and like listed the team, you know, with Eric Costin and Rick Howard, and you know, and put it under his windshield wiper
Oh,
of his car.
But you guys were there together.
We were there, but then
it was kind of like, we're down for you.
Yeah. We were leaving, and we were like, fuck, PJ was ripping in there today, huh? And we were like, yeah. I was like, dude, how do we get him? Like, how do we ink him? And we didn't even like do contracts back then, so contracts seemed like a sort of a funny gesture. So we drew a contract on a piece of paper and put it under his windshield wiper.
And then
He didn't sign
what happened
it.
next?
He didn't sign it.
Did you ever hear? Like, did he say anything?
He said it meant a lot, and that he was going to keep it forever.
I wonder if he still has it.
He was psyched.
Damn. PJ. That's sick, dude. I know you take photos.
I
obviously.
do.
Sam's Club.
Yeah.
You have your own website. What's up with that?
do.
Like, I feel bad because I missed. You've had a couple shows and I fucking missed it.
Yeah.
Try to be there.
I got really into shooting photos, mostly just from like being on the trip. So I was like, fuck, dude, I'm like in some pretty amazing moments, and they're not all being captured. We'd often have great photographers on their trips, and those were the people that like inspired me to put a camera in my hands. And so over all these years of traveling with the team, I've shot a lot of photos. I prefer film, just because I think it like looks
How
the
did
best.
you learn? Who showed you, like?
Dude, Brad Staba.
Yeah.
Yep. He was like, I was shooting with like just a little point and shoot digital camera, and he just really, he inspired me. He was just like, dude, you got an eye. Like, he just told me things that made me feel like, cool, I could fucking do this. And he gave me a camera. He gave me like a little Nikon, and that's how I learned shutter speed and aperture. And I started shooting with that on trips, and then from there, like, got into my own gear, shoot a lot of like medium format.
How many shows have you been in or had?
Just a few, some group shows and stuff. But those have all been like super exciting for me to be able to print my stuff on a large scale, and I don't know, I dig it, man. It's cool. It's just it's really an awesome way to look back at the memories of these trips, you know.
For sure.
And like, I'm kind of waiting. Like, I want to look at them in like 10 years or 20 maybe, you know.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And that's when I think like they'll get good, you know. Sometimes I take them and I'm like, that's gonna be good. Like, I remember like Corey and Elijah. It was like Elijah's first trip, and like I have these photos of like Corey and Elijah like hanging together, and I'm like, man, I can't wait till he's like as old as Jay Adams, and like this is gonna be the young Jay Adams photo of these kids right here. Yeah. You know? Yeah. So I'm like waiting for everybody to get old, and then I'll break them out again.
Dope.
Yeah.
Speaking of Corey,
Yeah.
how's that going?
He's maintaining. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He's in a really tough spot, but mentally he sounds pretty solid, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's it's really hard for him especially, but his family and loved ones, people that, you know, have had him taken from them. You know, everybody's like definitely going through a really hard time around it, but I'm happy to hear from him that he's okay.
Where is he?
He's in Washington. He's in a I can't remember the name of the facility off the top of my head, but it's Eastern Washington. And he's okay.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, he's living under a whole new set of rules and regulations, and he
Tough, yeah.
can't skate,
No.
and he can't play his jam box when he wants, and he can't like give his friends hugs, which like he loved to do. He's a bright, super bright spirit, really good soul, and so that's like, it's hard for him to not have that stuff. So.
Any plans to like try to visit him at all, or?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Right now we've just all been writing, and he writes back, and that's just like good to hear that he's like not scared, and he's like okay.
Yeah.
You know.
And are you in touch with P. Stone's family at all?
I'm not. I just never knew her, Anna, but I am in touch with people that do know her, like Schmitty and Joe Brook and like those guys, and they've told me that, you know, there's some peace there, you know, where you know, things were just so crazy and up in the air, and you know, people didn't know how things were going to pan out, and I think that like things have settled, and there's some peace, and I mean, everybody's lives are forever changed, and that's like fucking the hardest pill to swallow.
Yeah.
But I think people are doing what they can to like get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got what, like 4 years or something?
Yeah. But
Corey, yeah.
he does. But I think 48 months was the official sentence. Everyone's like got their fingers crossed that through good behavior and things like that, that he can come home sooner. Yeah.
You guys, when did Girls start? 25 years ago? Girl Chocolate.
1993.
So I'm pretty shitty at math, but that was a long time ago.
25
Let's say
years
that was
ago.
like 25 years ago.
You got it.
25 years ago, you guys have had an amazing run, and it's still going.
Yeah.
It's incredible. There's brands that are hot right now. Do you think they're going to be around in 25 years from now?
Some will, for sure. I mean, I'm not saying for sure, but some I do believe like have that, you know, have that longevity in the makeup of their brands. I think so for sure. But I mean, there's a lot out there. There's some that I don't even know about. You know, all I know, I was in labor today and just eyeing things, and I was like, oh, I think I've heard of this thing. Like, there's so many out there that I can't even keep up, and some of those are going to fall off, but some are going to pull it. You know,
Yeah.
I definitely believe that some are going to be in it for the long haul. 25 years is kind of like, there's not a lot that have that under the belt. So
I mean, which other companies? What?
yeah, you got like deluxe brands and
deluxe brands.
Santa
I mean, there's
Cruz.
there's a few out there.
There's a handful, but but for sure, it's something that you got to be prepared for. You got to like learn quick. You know, there's lots of things that we've been learning over these years, and you got to weather the ups and downs. You know, you can't think you're hotter than you are, and you know, but you know, we made plenty of mistakes and weathered them. So I think that some of those brands out there can pull it for sure.
With Girl, or let me say Krill Tap in general, like being around for this long and like going through ups and mostly all ups basically. But like kind of changes recently. Do you notice any difference of like the way people treat you?
Me personally?
Yeah. Like maybe people that once were like dick riders are not dick riders anymore.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm getting old, you know what I mean? I probably was like commanded a little bit more fanfare at one point in my life, but
Maybe
that's fine for me, you know. I think at least I'm still around.
For sure. I just saw I went to LA, saw the doll video. It was pretty sick. It was dope. What's up with the new chocolate video? Is it gonna be coming out?
We definitely want, that's the project at hand. So those guys are all psyched, inspired. Like, I think that they were able to see Doll and be like, okay, this is how we're gonna do it, you know? It's like a little bit different than the big budget productions that we had done before, but it's very girl, and it's like, it's for the new format, you know, internet video, whatever you want to call it, but it's like the new way, and I think that we've been able to put something out like that that's still like super authentic to girl, and I think that all those guys were, everybody that was involved in that video was super hyped on it, and I think the chocolate guys saw that and like, okay, like now we know what we can do, and yeah, they're definitely gonna, they've been already getting after it, so.
Yeah. But no Chico Brenna's part.
No.
Cheeks, dude, come on, bro.
Yeah, he's doing his own parts like every day. I think he films like a part a day.
I know, he's heavy on the gram. Shout out to Cheeks, man, he's doing his thing.
I still love the cheeks, without a doubt.
The Cheeks. Anything else? What else is coming out of the Crail camp? Anything we should look out for?
It's all new to me, man. You know, we're just trying to, you know, present Girl and Chocolate for every kid that's out there and has been a fan for 20 years, and as well as like show new kids who just started skateboarding like what we're about, and that's, I think that we've been true to that. It's still Rick and Mike at the helm, and you know, we've always just wanted to shed light on the lighter side of skateboarding. It's okay to have fun. You don't have to be so serious.
For me personally, like you guys, I've always held you guys on a pedestal, because to see guys that come from relative, I won't say nothing, but to take something that they love and to make something that they can live off of, that so many people that can live off of, and live the life that you want, and be able to do what you want for this thing that you love, for me is amazing, dude. And I've always looked up to you know, Rick and Mike and Megan and Spike and you and everybody, the whole crew, for like being able to do that and being so true to it, and just you know, having, I mean, the prestige that you guys have, and the class and the style, and fucking, I love Girl and Chocolate, so.
Yeah.
It's dope.
Yeah, I agree, man, that like, yeah, it has provided a platform to support what we all love for many people. It's insane the amount of people that have been like under our umbrella and have either like launched careers somewhere else or like continued to flourish like with us. The team has been amazing, you know, behind the scenes, everybody that's in the art dump and the whole building, the sales department over all those years, to the team of skaters. It's been like an amazing crew to be with for all those years, 20 years.
Smyth,
Yeah.
thanks for coming through, dude.
Dude, thanks for having me.
You came all the way to New York just for me, dude.
I got that
appreciate
Nick shave on my hand right now.
My hand's a little clammy, too. Yeah, thanks, dude. That was really sick. Just,
I
you
know.
known you for a long time, but it's kind of interesting just to sit here and like rap with you.
I hope we didn't have the like Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, Eyes Wide Shut. Remember they were like, oh, they're married, but they got no chemistry. Like, I hope that like our best bro-ness like came through.
I think it shines through. Thanks again, dude. That's it, man. This is the 5th episode. We're gonna wrap it up. Just want to say Happy New Year to everybody. Thanks for watching again, and we'll be coming back next year with a lot more episodes. And see you soon. Peace.